All right, now back here in the trunk, we got this nice and mounted up real good. Pretty easy, not too bad. Just tap and some quarter 20 screws makes it easy enough. I'm gonna have a real fun time anytime I take this car apart and have my nice mix of metric and American shit that I put in here. Anyways, now what we need to do is get this bus bar sized down correctly. It needs to run from this to this. Ideally, I think this is just going to sit, about like that. It's really not too big of a distance, but you'll notice that I'm not really dealing with the most space right there. So it's going to be a little interesting trying to make it work. That is why it's fun to fuck with electricity and why it's also scary. So, safety first. Don't do what I did. Do as I say, not as I do, obviously. Look at that. Got some good contact off there. Don't tell me this copper pipe doesn't conduct electricity. That's a good bus bar right there. Like I said, not the intended thing. That's what happens when you drop shit. I'm going to go get a marker so we can mark things. So we're going to be safe here, not touch things. We're going to take this out of here. Maybe we'll limit it a little more on what I can reach with it. Can't see with flash on, but that, like right there looks pretty good. Now we'll be careful. See, safety first. Don't touch shit together that shouldn't be touched together. And we're going to go on another day of not electrocuting myself. This will need to get rounded out and cleaned up. Obviously, not in the center of the bus bar. I just don't have the space for it. But really shouldn't cause any issues. I'm not too concerned about it. But yeah, so we'll drill that out, round that out, and we might be about done with the bus bar. Keep in mind that I would never do this with steel, just for anybody watching. Aluminum's probably not good either. But aluminum and copper are pretty soft, and I'm not too worried about it really grabbing. Hole drilled out, we'll just use a little stepper bit to get the hole the rest of the way open.
But this is a good enough garage. You don't do shit here, fucking like by the book, obviously. But we'll drill this out, so I think we're at about.
Sweet. So hole sizes work. That's the right size for the post. We'll grind some stuff out here. Unfortunately, we got a bit of a couch here, so I got to cover that up. But then we'll get to grinding, clean this up, and we'll have ourselves a bus bar.
Okay, there's our bus bar, a couple of holes there. Yeah, easy enough, straightforward, not too hard. Like I said, this hole obviously isn't centered. I don't have the space for it to be, but it doesn't really change anything. Pretty straightforward, nothing too fancy. That's just what this is gonna do. Hold that on there. Just like that. And then what you're gonna see me do here is, in the name of safety, I suppose, we'll heat shrink the majority of this so you don't just have a big fucking live positive terminal sitting here. All right, so bus bar is pretty much completed. We'll get her on here, mount her down, and it's gonna be a good day. Once again, careful not to touch anything for no particular reason, because nothing bad's ever happened to me. Yeah, and that, really is seeming like it. Let's see here. Might need to take a little bit more of that heat shrink off on that one. Why don't we do that real quick? Okay, I got a tad more of that heat shrink removed, and we are in business. We just want to make sure that we got the most contact possible. Tighten the battery cable down, the battery post clamp down. God, these things always suck. row. Is this nut stripped? Beautiful Chinesium strikes again on Amazon. Watch right there. We'll get this nice and tight, and then she's just gonna slip on by. So we'll figure out a way to deal with that, and we'll keep moving. Now I gotta be honest, I am not allowed to be even a little bit perturbed about that. Because there was an Amazon review that said this exact thing, and I'm like, they just got a bad one. Mine's not gonna be like that. That's what I get. But here we are, dealing with it, instead of writing a pissy review off Amazon for some fucking $10 battery post clamp you bought. And we're just figuring out how to do it. And I take it back. This thing's still messed up. I don't even think that's what the problem is. What in the world is going on? Something's messed up. And no way. Okay, all right. I may not be run for writing pissy reviews of Amazon. But the bolt's not even the right thread. They put a bolt and nut on here that don't even match. Look at that. Look at that. Flush. It's flush with the top. Look at that. I can just pull it off. It's not even the right thread. What the hell? Chinesium strikes again. Let's see this one on this negative post. See if this one's any better. I'll use this one and get a different bolt later. So, head slipping. And this gave me the incorrect bolt. Or nut. I'm assuming the nut's what's wrong, not the bolt. All right, one of them. One of them's got a good nut on it. We will use that one because that's the one that we are putting together right now. That square piece still spins, you know, per design. But hey, if I wanted stuff to work properly, I would have bought name brand stuff. I don't shop on Amazon for no reason. You decide what you're willing to deal with, and that's the level you deal with. Actually, now that this one's getting tight, it's actually not even slipping the square part, so we're doing all right. I've found that, you know, things also help when you use the correct socket. Man, I am just striking out today, huh? Not that it needs to be much tighter, but, yeah, we're like 0 and 10 for smart ideas. Not the fanciest setup in the world. It works, but, you know, hopefully people just aren't back here poking around because, you know, got nice live circuit shit back here. But that's what we're dealing with. Bus bar looks pretty good. Resettable breaker looks pretty good. I'm going to leave this switch just so we don't get any power to that thing for a while. Okay, it was quite the hassle. Honestly, it was way more work than it should have been. All of the battery cables are terminated now. And I even got a ground ram. Like I said, you saw earlier, this didn't match up, so I put my own bolt on there. That'll get shortened later. That's actually just ran right down there. Cut a hole in the plastic here, the mat, sanded off the paint, and bolted her to the pseudo frame rail. So that ground should be good to go. Next, these other cables have got to get ran through the rear firewall because this car actually has a rear firewall because there's gas tank right there. Gas tank's not under the car on this car. It's right behind the seat. We're not doing anything special to run it either. Literally just some baling wire on the end of it and hope for the best. Good old wire running 101. All right, not hooked up yet because, you know, things have a habit of happening. But this will go right here. The hole's quite a bit bigger, so we're just going to have to deal with some washers. But runs through there and then comes out and goes up there. Now, this is going to be run under the carpet, but it's through so I can get everything spaced out properly. And then up here, this one actually is run through the carpet. It's pretty easy. This carpet's loose. This carpet back here might not be so easy, but this carpet's pretty loose, so it's ran all the way up through the firewall and it's sitting right there. And then we got our jump terminal here ready to go.
and it's going to sit something about like that. And we'll get this hooked up, and we can have a positive terminal to the battery. We have our jump post. So a couple of 3D printed brackets, just drilled a couple of holes here, put them through, hanging on there. A little longer than necessary, but better than too short, am I right? Yeah, and then that thing's bolted on. This whole thing does have a cover, but I still need to miscellaneously hook up a couple of things to these posts, so that cover will get put on later. But for right now, we got a jump post. I mean, look at that shit. Well, if you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. This video is definitely longer than initially intended. It took longer than I thought to show this entire process. But that being said, I can officially say it's done. Battery hooked up, grounded, cable ran all the way through, everything's set up here. So I'll show you guys. We'll close that off. We have power through here now. And then for the truly race car bit, we got our kill switch key. And just like that, that gives us power all the way up front. And we now have 12 volts right here. Got my stuff set up so you can actually believe me. Grounded, look at that, beautiful. That's what a real multimeter lead looks like, is just a piece of wire. If you're using pins, you're outdated. Get on the current generation. We'll take our other side with no pin. And we're gonna touch her right there. And look at that, 12 volts to the front, to the jump terminal. We are good to go, guys. All right, so that covers up the extent of this battery cable project. You know, it definitely was a bit tougher in weird spots than I thought it would be. That kill switch box was a major pain. I didn't take a video of it. I really wasn't sure how to. It would have been easier if my screws were longer, but you push hard enough and you can make stuff bolt down. Another thing I designed that kill switch box with some like rough measurements, but I definitely found out that some things were not quite the size that I thought they were, so I had to do some modifications to that along the way. But regardless, it's installed. I have power to the front of the car, and that is another check mark off the board of progress. But we definitely still got a ways to go. The next project, we're going to be removing this core support. Got to make way for the intercooler. I'm not sure what I'm going to use to replace this bar, but you guys will see it when I do it. But anyways, I appreciate everybody that is watching these videos and following along with the project. Long time coming, but we still got a bit of a ways to go. We're going to get this race car done one way or another. It may not be perfect, but it'll be good enough. So stay tuned and see what happens.